Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this very nice, very spring-like Thursday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Few things to be speaking about today as another one of those daily signals is starting to present itself that historically has led on to a 20% move. We've seen several of these in the past few months here, all of which, have been quite nice, I'll say. Anyways, with that in mind, I do want to once again encourage you or let you know that, hey, if you find this content valuable, if you think that this is in some way useful, then the best way to give back would just be a simple like on the video. It's also costless as well, so it's all good. You can always dislike it after the video as well. Anyways, other than that, should let you know on Instagram, there's a bunch of scammers with similar names to mine. I'm not them. I don't have a secret trading fund, and the only Instagrams that I have are in the link in the description below if you happen to give a fuck. On top of that, Bybit, the old Bybit shill, they give you deposit bonuses so that you can go get wrecked with them. It's amazing, it's great, and there you go. All right, let's waste no more time. Let's get right into the content of the day, and we're gonna start it off right on over here. So once again, we have another one of these daily BBWP signals, of which anytime that we have seen daily BBWP measuring volatility somewhere, especially in the single digit percentiles, it has the expansion phase from that has led to about a little over 20% move over the course of, on average, about 2 weeks from that expansion date. We've seen several of these in the past. The most recent one we did see was back on over here in early April. So I believe that we're seeing, another one right here. As you can see, it's even lower than what we saw in early April, and even actually lower than all the ones going back to January. Again, you can backtest these yourself, and I would encourage you to do exactly that. But if you want to just copy my work, then this is fine as well. And you can see that all of these have been pretty damn consistent with about a 20% move. Some of them a little bit more than that. One of them a little bit less in the past year or so here, and this one over here only 14.25%. But overall, the other thing that I've been looking at to kind of get a bias on direction from the expansion of that daily BBWP is, of course, the daily stochastic momentum, and then we'll go over kind of targets from this. And so when I look at the daily stochastic momentum in relationship to those volatility expansion times, the direction of the stochastic has gotten it right a little over 60% of the time, or sorry, a little bit less than 70% of the time. But what has been more accurate is the extreme crosses that you have seen off of expansion in the more critical zone. In this case, Bitcoin is still showing upside momentum on the daily stochastic as long as Bitcoin is closing up above 39,350. So I would go as far to say that as long as that condition is being met, it is more likely to see this move to the upside than the downside. To be fair, or to be frank, 20% from current price action puts Bitcoin somewhere around 50, somewhere around $50,000 if it does come to the upside. If it turns again to the downside, then the relevant area would be in the $33,000 essentially weekly range lows here. So definitely a big move kind of baking up here. And for those of you who've been tuning in for the past, even for like the past few months here, you've seen several of these signals in the past. Well, we're getting yet again another one of them, so enjoy. Anyways, we still haven't seen the expansion just yet, so when it does happen, the first tick typically does go relatively fast, and I suspect that we probably get that within the next few days here. I think no later than Monday, if you will. Anyways, other than that, let's now go over sort of the bearish and bullish case for Bitcoin right now, as there are several things to be speaking about. First and foremost, let's go over with the Bitcoin Bula case, which we'll start off over here by looking at Dixie. We've been following Dixie, the dollar index for a while now, and we had a macro target based off of the monthly breakout from like half a year ago all the way up to basically where we're at right now, just above $100, and we said that would be a very nice pullback region. I think I also put out a chart on Twitter as well, which I typically try to avoid, but there you go, it's on Twitter somewhere there. And yeah, I do think that this pulls back more probably over the next few months. Somewhere down around $98 is fair game. We do see several drives of bearish divergence on the daily right here. So short-term targets down to about 99.70 and probably a short-term bounce there. And then a 5-day chart just closed last night, and we do see bearish divergence starting to form over here as well. Not confirmed just yet. Will be confirmed as soon as the next 5-day closure, but that would have targets down around the $97.50 or so region, also in line with one of those major fibs. So I do like that area for a pullback. Long-term, however, still pretty fucking bullish on that, like macro super long-term, like years down the road. But for right now, yeah, I do think that we pull back, and that probably helps out Bitcoin as as these two seem to play inverse of each other. On top of that, let's go over Bitcoin a little bit more specifically over here. Short-term timeframes for CME, we did see a closure ever so slightly above the range highs, but we're not really getting like major continuation from there just yet. So that does call into question the efficacy of that breakout. I'll offer up or an invalidation point for that. Well, might as well do it right now. Oh, big fucking surprise. It's 40,000, what is it, 40,600 on an hourly closure below that range lows. That confirms this is a local high, and also hidden bearish divergence on a 12-hour time frame, which is rather important, which would have targets back down to about 39,000 bucks. Until that condition is met, I should be looking for more continuation to the upside. We can use our stochastic momentum oscillator over here on the shorter term time frames to kind of get a bias as to where the resolution points are for momentum turning. 12-hour is still up as long as Bitcoin's above 40,550. 6-hour is going to be down and corrective as far as stochastic volatility goes, as long as you're below 41,900. Full hour, same thing. 42,100 is going to be the magical number, and then the hourly is showing upside, kind of weak here, as long as Bitcoin's above 41.4. So what does that likely equate towards? Short-term timeframes very likely, play out a few more range moves, maybe back down to low 41.2 and perhaps retest around the highs again, just around 42. Other than that, I don't think that we actually see this move happen until at minimum when U.S. market opens later today, and probably more like tomorrow, to be quite honest with you, on Friday. I think today's going to be kind of slow sideways and maybe a bit of a grind up here. Other than that, if we're going off the daily BBWP signal, I do look at, as the upside is more relevant here as long as this condition is being met. However, we should now go over the bearish case, of course, as always, my more favorite case because, well, fun. Anyways, again, this gets validated as a local high and also hidden bearish divergence on a 12-hour time frame, which is rather important on CME here, with any sort of a closure, especially below 40,600. For the more aggressive people out there, 40,900 probably okay on a 4-hour closure. Again, this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, blah, 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 blah. And that would have very likely targets back down to $39,000, maybe even lower than that over time, perhaps somewhere down around here. And I forgot to go over this as like the general bullish case, something like this, right? But there you go. It's the same thing as before. And as long as Bitcoin's above there, I should be looking for this one to give another try to the upside. Other than that, and where would those targets be? Somewhere around 43,000 bucks would be the next sort of short-term-ish target on a continuation move, and then very likely a pullback from there. And then, Bitcoin does retake those highs. I'd probably be looking somewhere into the shallow 44s. Above 44, I do call this, or I do confirm this as a major macro bear trap, and very likely we see not just the daily volatility expansion to the upside. I mean, probably at that point it's already happening, but the 5-day will as well, which this is the thing that still makes me consider that the bear case is not just strong, but it's the more likely thing to be happening. Now, again, I'll say something like that, and I don't want to be misheard here. So perhaps, well, let's just go into it. Fuck it. People are going to mishear me anyway, so who cares? Anyways, on the 5-day over here, 5-day BBWP, again, anytime that we have seen it get down to the teens or even lower than that, the expansion phases from these have led to about an average move of 45% give or to the upside or the downside based off of where that volatility expansion comes from. We just closed another 5-day yesterday, and not only did we not get an upside tick on this, thus indicating potential expansion, but we got another downside tick actually. So this this signal that I'm looking for has still not happened just yet. That is to say, and that also does imply that the expansion from that level, being that it has been this low for this long, is probably going to be more than the past iterations here, which again, on average is 45% over the course of just over 40 days. So targets, if it comes to the upside, very likely looking at 60,000 plus. If it comes to the downside, very likely looking around 25,000, for example. And I've been using the 5 days stochastic momentum to get the general direction on this, of which all of the volatility expansions alongside the stochastic momentum direction has gotten the direction of that move actually perfectly in the past couple of years here. And right now, while the signal is still not operational, by the way, we do see it to the downside. So that is why I do consider that the downside does have, legitimate possibility here, and even a higher probability as of right now, especially, if we get that like first tick up on volatility expansion. But you will notice that the number required to turn the stochastic momentum to the upside compared to yesterday before that last 5-day closure has moved up from about 45,000 now to $46,000. So it's building up here, and also still kind of rejecting the bullish control zone. So again, you can look at this kind of both ways, but in the, with Bula goggles on, you could say, hey, because this signal is now, playing out to the down, or the stochastic momentum is moving to the downside, but we're not seeing the volatility expansion. This is just a reset, and it's resetting for the stochastic momentum to come down and then flip around something like this. And then volatility does expand after a bit of a bit of a correction right there. Until then, though, again, if I'm putting this in the more realistic sense, as long as that is angled down, it is more likely, statistically speaking, to move to the downside. Just be aware of where that sort of interpretation changes. Anyways, other than that, I think that this is a pretty good place to leave this one off. Not too much of an interesting day right here. I think that we're probably going to be waiting mostly sideways, but gives you some time to do some other things. Other than that, now that I do look at it, the 4 hour on CME is showing incredibly low volatility right here. I think this probably bases out a bit, and then maybe around the time that U.S. market opens, we actually do get a nice move to try to break the short-term time frame range. So again, at most aggressive, I'd look at 40,900 as a downside resolution. Short-term targets down to 40,500 after that. Probably short-term bounce there, then break below there. I do look for things to evolve to the downside. First to 39, short-term bounce, then lower. Probably back down to, probably back down to the weekly range lows over some point of time. By the same token, to the upside, short-term it is more likely to see that, and short-term I do have to be more on the bullish side based off of the daily stochastic momentum. And next sort of relevant area to the upside is 43, then 44 is spot 2, and above there, I feel quite confident saying that this whole thing's going to flip around to like being mega macro bullish, because then the 5-day signal is probably going to flip around as well, and you'll see that expansion very, very likely come to the upside. Anyways, other than that, I'm going to be signing off now. I want to wish you well, take care, and see you hopefully soon.